Hey friends, my name is Dur Lor. I'm your main host for Hmong American Christian podcast. Welcome to these brief introduction videos where we want to share a little bit more about who we are as your hosts. Well, I'm living in the Twin Cities, Minnesota, where I'm serving at a local evangelical covenant church in the areas of music worship, preaching, and volunteer development. And I'm also a postgraduate student at Luther Seminary, where I'm in the THM program studying theology and contextual theology, where I want to bring my Hmong American context to bear on my theological studies. Well, I grew up in a shaman family where we would regularly have a shaman come to our house, do the soul calling rituals, the healing rituals, the animal sacrifices. And then in my late teens, early 20s, I came to Christian faith. There's a long story there, which I won't get into, but as you can imagine, this conversion experience from Hmong shaman to Christian faith has had a deep, profound impact on my life story, my identity, and my sense of vocation and purpose, even shaping my theological questions. I think what it means to be second or even third gen Hmong American is to live in this tension of knowing our parents' refugee experiences and stories, and bringing those stories here, and now trying to make sense of that on American soil, where we now inherit a different narrative or different scripts. The script that tells us, we are our own individuals and we are to pursue the American dream and to climb the corporate ladder. Those are all the messages that we get in America. So somewhere, we exist somewhere between those two stories as Hmong American second and third gen. So there's a lot of things that Hmong American could be, but I want to avoid any assumption that Hmong American means this kind of a core essential thing, as if, the definition of being Hmong has never changed over the centuries. Rather, on this podcast, the way we talk about being Hmong American is assuming that from China to Laos to Thailand to America, that at every stage, what it meant to be Hmong has evolved. But yet, there's something recognizable in even the Hmong diaspora around the world. So I want to hold that in mind as we talk about what it means to be Hmong American on this podcast. I'm excited for Hmong American Christian podcast because it's a place where we get to bring those, again, multiple stories or multiple scripts that we've inherited from our parents and from the American culture, that we get to bring those tensions that are oftentimes confusing, if we're honest. We get to bring those before God and before Scripture. Where a lot of us have probably learned to suppress those tensions, or at least to only bring out one of those stories at different points in our lives. This podcast invites us to bring all of that at once, because we trust that God sees us in all those different facets of our lives. And this is a place where we believe Scripture has something to say to people at the margins, to people who are ethnic minorities, racial minorities, living in a larger culture, larger empire. That's much of what the Israelites were in different empires around them. That's very much like what Jesus and the first Jewish Christians were like as ethnic Jews living in the broader Roman Empire. And so we believe that being Hmong American, we have a certain lens that if we choose to see through the lens of our experience, that we actually have a unique access point into who God is and into what the Scriptures have to say to us.